This is Michael Popok from the new Legal AF YouTube channel. All those attacks on black and brown Americans and other immigrants that are coming to this country under legal status by Donald Trump and J.D. Vance is having a terrible impact on Donald Trump's election chances and his polling numbers in people who identify and self-identify as being black and brown and not white and old like Donald Trump. And it's having a major impact in at least 3 battleground states, Arizona, Georgia, and Florida. Let me speak about all of those and what the new polling that just came out spells disaster for Donald Trump. Let's use the baseline, first of all. Women, by large numbers and a huge historic gender gap of more than 21 points, are voting for Kamala Harris. Or to use the terms of pollsters and election observers like me, women are breaking for Kamala Harris as we move into the home stretch of this election, this short track election where there's less than 40 days left. Women in every type of group. White women, Hispanic women, black women, and of every age interval within that group. In huge numbers. Black women, 70% for Kamala Harris. 70% advantage for Kamala Harris. Black women, 18 to 35, higher than that. Hispanic women, all women of all ranges by huge numbers. Hold that as a baseline. And women vote in higher numbers than men. And there are more women than men. And they're more active than men. And they're more protective over their bodily autonomy and reproductive rights than men, even those that love and support women. That's your baseline with women, and that runs across all the battleground states. Let me focus on Arizona and Georgia and the Hispanic and Southeast Asian vote in Arizona. Listen to these numbers. Based on Telemundo Univision polling that just came out, Kamala Harris has a 34-point lead among Hispanics in Arizona. Think about Arizona for a minute. Think about it for a minute. You got Mark Kelly, who's running for the Senate. He should win that seat. But Arizona has become purpley, but we want it blue. 34-point advantage. 52% of Hispanics that were polled, whether they identify as Hispanics or Latinx or whatever you want to call it, are voting for Harris. 18%, only 18% voting for Donald Trump. 34-point advantage, and that has gone up by about 8 or 9 points just in the last month alone. That vote alone could turn the tide in the election for Kamala Harris into blue for Arizona. And you have the same issue in Nevada. Nevada, especially among the casino workers, and the casino workers union that's in favor of Kamala Harris, is largely, there's large pockets of Hispanics that live in Arizona and live in Nevada. And they are overwhelmingly voting for Kamala Harris. Now, Georgia's a little bit of a different demographic. Larger black population than Hispanic population, but a growing Southeast Asian population. The black population, primarily Democrats, are voting in overwhelming numbers for Kamala Harris, who would be not only the first woman president, but the first person who self-identifies as black as president, along with her Indian roots. And so you have a 7-point advantage, which is beyond, it's not statistically nothing. It is statistically important. It is above the margin of error, and that's Kamala Harris's lead in Georgia with Hispanics. So 34-point lead in Arizona, 7-point lead, still good, healthy lead in Georgia. But Georgia's a little bit more complicated of a state for many, many reasons. The black vote, the vote in Atlanta and Metro Atlanta, is going to drive Georgia. Donald Trump's, it's going to be, when we see that map, it's going to be a sea of red in that sort of rectangular state of Georgia, a sideways rectangular state of Georgia, with huge blue in around Atlanta and some other places. And what Kamala Harris has to do to win that state is that she's got to hold Donald Trump back and reel him in from overperforming in the bloody red parts of MAGA, like where Marjorie Taylor Greene has a district. She has to do that and make sure he only beats her by, 16 points instead of 20 points. That alone will help her with the popular vote that's necessary. We're not a popular vote country, but we are in order to award the electoral votes. So she's got to hold him back and have him underperform and do less well in the red places, and then she's got to overperform over and above even Joe Biden in 2020 or Barack Obama in the historically blue areas. That's where the Hispanic vote, and every little vote counts. 7% is good. 10% is better. We still have time, and that may be underreported. The black vote, black women particularly are driving this train or pulling this wagon for Kamala Harris, especially in Georgia. And then you've got to compensate for, let's just say you might be a little bit disappointed that it's only a 7-point lead in the polls in Hispanic voting in Georgia versus 34 points in Arizona. You got the Southeast Asian vote. Kamala Harris is Indian black Indian, She, or as Donald Trump likes to say, I don't know what she is. She's whatever she wants to be. It's not me to say, while behind the scenes, Laura Loomer and other alt-right MAGA people that control Donald Trump's social media say, oh, do you want Curry in the White House? Then don't vote for it. I wasn't sure where that was going because J.D. Vance's wife is Indian American. So I wasn't quite sure where that was going, but apparently it was going as a racist trope against Kamala Harris. Vote against Curry in the White House. I cook with Curry. I like Curry. Does that make me qualified to be in the White House? I hope so. Southeast Asian vote. Not only is it energized, not only is it sizable, it votes. Indian American voters, listen to this number, vote up to 71% of that population votes of voting age. It's a crazy number. Americans don't vote in that. Normal white Americans don't vote in that number. They vote at like 50% or less. 71% of the Indian American vote, and they are energized by Kamala Harris and getting her elected president. And they are in a large swath of Georgia. It's sort of a sash that runs diagonally along Georgia, filled with Southeast Asian Americans who are just waiting to vote for Kamala Harris. And I think they're going to help pull the wagon in Georgia. If we got a shot at Georgia, which I think we want to see, then this is where it's going to happen. Southeast Asian vote, Hispanic vote, woman vote have got to pull that wagon. And Donald Trump's got to worry. For instance, he's been bashing directly or indirectly Kamala Harris and her Indian heritage. There are 4.4 million Indians that vote in America. Indian Americans that vote here, right? They're not illegal. They came here yearning to breathe free, like the Emma Lazarus poem at the bottom of the base of the Statue of Liberty. Just like my family came here 2 generations ago to do the exact same thing. And we're given some sort of dignified immigration policy and process and got to be Americans and got to register to vote, just like my wife, who's a naturalized citizen and cries during the national anthem and proudly wears her "I just voted" sticker on her shirt when she does it, and does it every time. So what did Donald Trump think? I haven't even talked about Florida yet. What did he think was going to be the outcome of bashing black and brown people constantly, even if in trying to make them out to be the other, like the hardworking Haitian community in Ohio that was invited by Springfield, Ohio, to work in their factories with a welcome mat and the Chamber of Commerce, and then got used under some sort of perverse geographically nonsensical argument that the Haitians being in Springfield, Ohio is a reflection of poor border policy by Kamala Harris, the borders are. Take out a map, MAGA. Ohio doesn't border Haiti. Okay? It does. Haiti doesn't border anything. I mean, maybe Venezuela or, those sort of areas out there in the Caribbean, but come on. They're there and they're under temporary protective status for a reason. And the reason because they were invited by the Chamber of Commerce and the business community to replace jobs, replace employees that left after COVID, and they had to fill 15,000 jobs in manufacturing in Springfield, Ohio. And they are, and they're working hard without having yet permanent status in America, but paying taxes and keeping our economic engine going. And what's the reward for that? Donald Trump uses it as a racist trope to try to get back to the White House. Now let's turn and use the Haitian community and discuss Florida, one of my home states. I worked there, lived there for 20 years. There is a large and proud Haitian community in Florida. They are the pillar, especially in Miami-Dade County, from let's say, South Florida, what we call it. They are proud members and contributors to society there. They are members of the legal society. They're members of the business community. I've gone to their galas. I've gone to their bar association functions. The head of the Department of Justice unit in South Florida, the Southern District of Florida U.S. Attorney, is a proud Haitian American who came here when he was 16 years old and got naturalized in 1995. He's not a DEI hire. He should be celebrated for how he's achieved. His mother worked as a dishwasher in restaurants on Biscayne Boulevard in Miami. And they lived in Liberty City, a very poor area, primarily of Haitian people. Bashing the Haitian community, which is a downtrodden group that is beleaguered because of what's happened on that island. And they always get, between the Cuban American community and the Haitian community always gets outvoted. There's always a policy that helps Cubans that just come to this country and don't help Haitians that come to this country. And Donald Trump's bashing is a continuation of that. The Cuban American population the Latin population in South Florida, for instance, is 70% of the population, and half of that is Cuban. And so there's a lot of skewing of immigration policy related to Cubans, a lot of resources given to them and less resources given to the Haitian community, which is proud, but not as strong as the Cuban American community. And that's just the demographics of what goes on as these worlds collide in cities like Miami. And so the Haitian Americans are used to getting the short end of the stick in immigration policy. And now it's worse. Now Donald Trump, who doesn't care about that, doesn't care about maligning a proud group of people, is going after their cousins and their sisters and their brothers in Springfield, Ohio, who this group in Miami helped through an underground railroad actually connect them to the jobs there. The Haitian community should not be underestimated in Miami. It could turn the election if they come out in large numbers, which they will, for Kamala Harris. And the Black community in Florida, in South Florida, will come out hard for Kamala Harris, right? Now, the Hispanic community is a mixed bag. The Cuban community, ever since the Cuban Missile Crisis and the embargo, and John F. Kennedy has voted Republican. They are about as red MAGA as you're going to get. The boater community down there flying the flags, everything on Hispanic talk radio for the last 10 years has been anti-Biden, anti-Democrats. They're socialists, they're fascists, they're Marxists, they're dictators somehow. Although they yearn, they have a strong feeling of nostalgia for dictatorships from some of the countries they've come from. So it's not just the Cuban community, the Venezuelan community also, and some other and Colombian community have all sort of joined together. And they bond with Donald Trump and the Republicans. That's different than the Hispanics that live in other parts of our country. 56, 58% of Hispanics overall are Democrats. But in Miami, I would say 80 to 90% of Cubans are Republican, and it's 70 or 80% of the entire Hispanic population is Republican. It's an anomaly. It's weird. Definitely strange, but it's the politics and the electoral map you got to play if you're Kamala Harris. You know, it's too late to go on Latin radio and give a speech. It's too late for those in Miami, a little shout out. It's too late to go on Calle Ocho or Versailles and have a little cafecito and try to pick up a few more votes. Not happening for Kamala. She's got to do what I said she's got to do in Arizona and Georgia. She's got to hold down his vote and have him underperform in large parts of the state of Florida that would normally be red, where he beats her by 8 points, not 12 points. He beats her by 12 points, not 16 points. And then she's got to run it up in Orlando, Orange County, which has a large Hispanic population, especially that works around Disney. And, you know, the governor there pissed off the Disney people and people that like Disney in a fight with Disney. So that's helpful. And then you got to do all of South Florida, from Vero Beach down to Key West and everything in between Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, and Miami. Now, they're always won by Democrats, but she's got to really win. That was the problem with Hillary Clinton and why she didn't win Florida. She didn't hold Trump back from overperforming in the state where it's red. And in the blue parts, she underperformed. She didn't rack up enough votes. She won, but she didn't win by enough. She won by 6 points, not 12 points. Kamala's got to win by 12 points. She's got to run it up, and then hold him back in other red parts, and then hope the final vote tally at the end is Florida for Kamala Harris. But I just kind of gave you the ticket on how to do that. So we'll continue to follow it. I'm glad you're here. Free subscribe to Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Legal AF MTN. We're in collaboration with our brothers, literally, over at the Midas Touch Network. Help us get to 200,000 free subscribers. We're going to hit 100,000 this weekend in 10 days. We're only 10 days old. Help us get there. Maybe you missed the build for Legal AF in the Midas Touch Network at 3 million, 3.5 million. Here's your chance. We're pro-democracy. Find out what 40 million people a month already know. That Legal AF is the home of law and politics analysis and commentary like no other. So until my next, and if you like us, leave a comment, give a thumbs up, free subscribe. It sends a message to the algorithmic gods that we're important and therefore you're important in participating with our community here. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok on the new Legal AF MTN channel. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.